Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to talk to the author of this amazing book, I Understand You Forgot to Say Goodbye. It's a story about Alzheimer's and the love of a son for his mom. Next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, this is a show that will be very personal to so many of you because Alzheimer's affects so many families these days. Millions and millions of families in America right now are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's, or at least the early stages of dementia. Someone who knows that very well is Robert Pace. He's the author of this amazing book, I Understand You Forgot to Say Goodbye. Robert, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Jeff.
Absolutely. And we met here a couple of weeks ago. You were in our studio for a different reason, and we just started to talk, and you told me about this amazing book you wrote. So take us back. Your mom started to decline in what year?
That year was 1999, Jeff, and the cooking incident put a hot pot onto a Formica countertop in the kitchen, and it blistered. And she just blamed everything on me. And, okay, maybe I had stressed you out. But as I think back and after, going through the book, we've started to figure out that was part of that point of decline and not recognizing time or something hot. And it even moved on towards, little items. But she would always say, well, you're stressing me out. You're just getting on my nerves, And you don't know anything about, we didn't even think anything that she was on this road, dementia that later led into Alzheimer's, but that was the early stages.
When did she get diagnosed?
It was right around 2003. That's when the doctor, by that time we had it down in Georgia, that's when the doctor identified that, she's not there. We're seeing these stages. And when it hit us, we was like, what is Alzheimer's? We didn't know. We was not educated. We're not medical, trained. And we had to do a lot of research to start to understand it, but that's when the doctor provided, and the doctor was really good to kind of help us understand different points along the way. Yeah. But it was a gut shot right there.
I'm going to put her picture up on the screen. First of all, tell us about your mom. What was her name?
My mom's name was Luella Pace. Born in a little city in Arkansas, Stevens, way down there. But
1925.
1925, and she was a very proud woman. Devoted, going to church, Christian, wanted to help others along the way. And that was one of the main things she said, help someone. And in that same realm, Jeff, she said, learn something. And she had a phrase, use your head for more than a hat rack. Learn something, learn something. And that was one of her guiding principles.
Well, I think all, children of aging adults have this same situation where you're suddenly parenting your parent. Yes. Was that strange for you suddenly to take on the role of a parent?
Yes, when you look at that whole concept, you go through the role of someone has to step up and make the critical decisions. So from a financial business side, I took on that, and then my sister was there. She was the closest one, the caregiver. I was considered the golden one, couldn't do anything wrong, but the person closest to the person with Alzheimer's, that caregiver, they can get a lot of arrows thrown at them. And I had to help her balance through that. And that's a rough way to go. And the family, they must come together and recognize everybody has a role.
Yes.
And execute to that role, almost like sports. If you're a wide receiver, do your job. You're running back, do your job. But in the family role, do that and understand this for the love for that person that can't take care of themselves anymore.
And I love the title of your book. We're going to put it up full screen so everybody can see it. I Understand You Forgot to Say Goodbye. That's such a beautiful title. How'd you come up with that?
That title, Jeff, was on the basis that, if that person with the disease could have planned everything, they would have actually told you, okay, it's my time to exit. This is what needs to happen, but they're not able to do that. So therefore, that's when I had that idea of, man, I understand you forgot to say goodbye. In the doorway on the cover of the book, that picture, the door's half closed. Like, you thought you was coming back, but you didn't. So that's how we came up with that understanding you forgot to say goodbye.
Well, I want to give the audience some solid tips on dealing with a loved one who has early stages of dementia. The key is to not agitate them.
Right. One of the points, just so you made, don't agitate them. They're working as hard as they can to remember. And my mother at one point was looking at a TV program and the news was cycling over and over. And my sister would say, oh, everything is okay. No, I just heard on the news that they said XXX. But it was repeating over and over. And I said, yeah, she did hear that. Let's take away the news and give her some comedy to look at.
Yes.
You have to work in that manner. And they're working really, really hard. They're recognizing that they're trying to fight something that they're not aware of. They haven't had that before. They're in this time warp where you and I can go back 10, 15 years easy and get back here. That person with Alzheimer's, when they make that travel back, the doorway to get to the current is lost. So you're lost in that time warp right there.
Oh yeah, that's profound. And Robert, you found a way of dealing with your mom with humor. You were sharing a story right before the show.
Yes. Jeff, that's one of my favorite ones, that I would walk in and I would see my mother. She said, oh, I haven't seen you. Who are you? And I go, oh, who are you? I would leave out, Jeff, 10 minutes, come back. Why are you over here? I don't know you. Then I'm saying, well, I don't know you neither. She would just laugh and laugh. But that's the communication.
Yes.
Keep them talking to you, because you want to have those conversations embedded in your mind, because they won't be here. Sorry to say, that road on Alzheimer's is not always pretty, but create memories.
Yes.
Create some memories. Use that time to create the memories and let that replay in your mind. Have a little fun with it, and seeing someone laugh, oh, Jeff, that's therapeutic.
Yes. We're going to pull up some video from our library of Alzheimer's and dementia. And the mind is such a complicated thing, Robert. Sometimes they won't remember your name, but they can remember a song that they heard as a kid. What did you learn about Alzheimer's through your journey?
For items with my mother, we had to put things in decades. And let's go back to the 80s. Let's go back to the 70s. I had to call one of my aunts, hey, tell me what happened when she was growing up, and pick whatever time frame she's in. And you might have to role play a little bit. Just allow them to at least communicate, right? But everybody in the family has to get educated. And one other point that I will say, that when we're working with them, all the family got to get together. And Jeff, it's really important, family members, to care for that loved one. Remove any grievances you may have, because you can't care for that loved one if we're still agitated. You remember?
Right.
So go through that. Make the table clean. Clarify everything. Make sure everyone feels good. Now, 100% of the energy can go to that loved one.
That's so important, because they will pick up on your stress, won't they?
Yes. That subconscious nature that you're carrying something, it will go on, because I'm not medically trained, but I do believe if one of the skills starts to decline, something else is going to pick up. So if you walk into a room, you're not feeling that right energy, they're going to get aggressive. And before you know it, aggression don't do that. I would say for all the audience, make sure you keep love. Love.
And it's important not to overcorrect them. So if your mom asked you the same question 3 times in a row, don't scold her saying, Mom, I just answered that question.
They're in that time warp, and time is something they cannot regulate. So therefore, go with it. Just take a pause. Yeah, just like when I walked in, I haven't seen you. Well, have some fun with it.
Yes.
Right? That's the best thing. Don't agitate, because they're trying as hard as they can to combat what's going on in their mind, they have a feeling something's not right, but it could be a personal, it's a dissatisfier to them personally. 'Cause they know how sharp they used to be.
Yeah.
My mother, matriarch of the family, man, could do everything. Cook cakes. In the book I talk about, she became a masoner and we never seen her do anything. She put together a barbecue pit.
No kidding.
Without having any trained skills. And when she finished that, I could just imagine this bubble cloud going, yeah, you didn't think I could do that, did you?
That's amazing.
She was always trying to do something in what we call the can-do attitude.
Yes.
She had that definitely throughout her life.
All right, what's another, do's and don'ts?
Be careful of that loved one and watch the people on the outside trying to take advantage of that senior, to get close, to get that PII information, personal identifiable information. Guard that information, guard your loved one, because it's a bad point to say it, but there could be some folks out there that want to do some elements that's not great to that senior, and that's the person you're in control of loving,
Yes.
guarding. So take care of them, be careful of that. And also, you have to have some good decisions on how to address any critical points after that point to the homegoing. Making sure you understand what's going to happen with a funeral home. Think about what you want to do for it. Do not resuscitate. Have all those items lined up.
Yeah.
If that is your choice, put it in a nice plastic bag in the room. So when the medical folks come in, you have all your documentation there. Balance the roles within the family, because one person can't do it all. Have a business person, finance, have the medical person who's going to have that discussion. Go to those doctor's visits, then have the caregiver. We was fortunate to have some in-home services, which I think can really good. Give the caregiver a break.
Yes.
Because nobody's born with caregiver on their forehead.
Right.
But give the caregiver a break. Recognize that they're not going to raise their hand because they're going to feel a little embarrassed. So, hey, we got you this weekend. You go ahead, just go to a hotel to spend the night. Get away from all the points where you're the primary caregiver. Just be human for a second.
Okay, we're almost out of time, so I want to end with this question. Robert, you could have kept this journey very personal and not written about it. It looks like God put a number on your heart and said, you got to write this book.
Yes, that was, going back to ask me about my mother, Luella Pace, help others. That was one of the main things. She wanted to always visit the folks that were sick. If you can help someone along this way, that is doing really, really good. And our family wanted to be transparent. We don't have all the answers. That is not the idea of the book, but we wanted to be open, share our journey, give you a couple of tidbits to use along the way. And even in the book, as a manner that old school has a little writing room there, because you may notice something on this date. If you go forward 45 to 60 days, you may see something totally different. So it is a true reflective element to allow that journey that you're going to have to go down to be somewhat more manageable. And if anything that we could have given to the audience for this, that will make my mother happy.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with the world. I know it's going to help so many people. We're going to end with his LinkedIn page, the great Robert Pace. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.